Hi guys, David Davis, the former Brexit Minister and negotiator for the British government, the guy who turned up to Brussels without a pen and piece of paper, appeared on Talk TV where he was asked about civil servants allegedly turning a blind eye to asylum seekers lying on their application. Now, as this is Talk TV, it's either a lie or they're twisting something to make it sound much worse than it actually is. However, David responded by attacking the asylum seekers and makes some false claims here. But then he is a Brexiteer who famously told the public that there's no downside to Brexit, only a considerable upside. Have a listen.
Joining me to discuss this first up is former Brexit Secretary David Davis, who is one of those outspoken critics. Thank God for that. David, welcome to the show. Can you explain to me, you're a politician, because I think we've gone as soft as anything. How can we have a situation where Home Office guidelines say that immigrants can literally lie to interviewers because they might find questions upsetting? What is going on, David Davis? We've gone barking mad, man.
Well, I think there's a reasonable case for that. But what I suspect has happened is that people are confusing proper attention to people's rights with gullibility. And that's what this is gullible. I mean, you have to bear in mind that the vast majority of people who seek asylum in this country are not legitimate asylum seekers. I mean...
What? Really? Now, either David Davis here is lying or he's completely ignorant. Because this is according to the UK government's own website, and I'll leave a link in the description. Almost 72% of the initial decisions in 2021 were grants of asylum, humanitarian protection, or alternative forms of leave, which is substantially higher than the previous years. 72% in 2021. Now, I wasn't able to find official data for 2023, but this is from the UK's Refugee Council, and it says 73% of initial decisions made in the year of March 2023 have been grants of protection. So 72% in 2021, 73% in 2023. So what the heck is David Davis talking about?
You have to pay attention. You have to have a system that properly looks after, for example, somebody who's been an interpreter for the British forces in Afghanistan and will be murdered if he goes home.
This is not the criteria for claiming asylum. Have you been an interpreter for the British forces in Afghanistan? No, that's not how... Look, there's a big problem with this whole argument, this whole topic, is that the public have this criteria in their minds, and people like David Davis understands that. I don't think David Davis understands a lot of things, but I think he understands this, that he's playing to the public opinion of what asylum seekers should look like. Well, an asylum seeker is somebody who, I don't know, used to be an interpreter for the British Army in Afghanistan. That's what an asylum seeker really looks like. Not this guy we're trying to force onto a barge. So what they'll do is they'll create a two-tier system in their minds. But the Home Office doesn't operate like that. The Home Office is designed, well, it should be, and it's so far as following its own guidance. But it looks at each individual case on its merits, bases it on its merits, and if it decides this person is legitimate, they move on to refugee status, and if they're not, they are deported. But it's nothing to do with what people like David Davis think asylum seekers look like.
On the one hand, but on the other hand, you've also got to bear in mind that something, probably over 90% of the people who apply for asylum have come, and they actually start by breaking the law. They start by arriving in a boat. They start by...
This is not against the law. It's not breaking the law. If they were breaking the law, they would be arrested and put in prison. Why are they not being arrested and put in prison? Because in most cases, if you break the law, you're either fined or you're arrested and put in prison. Why is that not happening? Could it be because it's not actually breaking the law? This would be a wonderful question to ask people who claim that these are illegal immigrants or these people are breaking the law. The simple question, and I wish a journalist would ask a Tory minister, right-winger, whatever, why are these people not in jail? It's a simple question. If they broke the law, then why aren't they in jail? Well, if they're being honest, they would have to say, well, because they haven't broken the law. But of course, they'd find some other excuse. But it's not illegal to cross the channel to claim asylum. David Davis either doesn't understand this or he's pretending not to, which is disappointing because generally on some issues like of human rights, David Davis is on the right side. But when it comes to asylum, I think he's jumped on board this Suella Braverman bus.
Destroying their own passports and their own documents. I mean, if somebody arrives in your country and says, I've got no documents, meaning they've thrown them over the side of the boat in the middle of the channel, then they are starting off by trying to deceive you, and you have to treat them accordingly. You don't have to be cruel, you don't have to be rude, you just have to be very firm about how you deal with them and say, if you turn up without documents and you tell lies, you're going to lose your case, and you're going to lose it quite fast.
Okay. How do you know they have destroyed their documents? How do you know it hasn't been the case that the people smugglers are holding on to the documents? How do you know that it isn't the people smugglers who told them, destroy the documents before you arrive in the UK? But David David's answer is, well, we should inform them before they arrive in the UK that they shouldn't destroy their documents. How the heck would you do that? What? Like, are you going to set up an office in Calais and distribute flyers in multiple languages explaining to people who are going to cross the channel in a dinghy, remember to take your documents with you, don't forget your passport, because you're going to need it when you arrive in the UK, even though it's not a requirement under UN conventions. But it's going to satisfy some racists and bigots in Britain who think that it's necessary to have these documents, or it's going to satisfy the listeners on Talk TV. Like, if it's not a requirement to have the documents, then why are you telling people to take them? And how are you going to actually tell them to take them? Instead of actually setting up an office in Calais to tell people to take their documents, why don't you support setting up an office in Calais to process asylum claims, as the French has offered? This is absurd. But then once again, this is David Davis. Now, when it comes to the original question about, well, why would the Home Office be turning a blind eye to people lying, well, it could be cultural issues. So there may be culturally sensitive issues that the Home Office need to be aware of, that it's better not to ask the question, or it's better to ask the question in a more indirect way, because we don't know the cultural sensitivities of the asylum seekers. We don't know the trauma that some people have gone through. So it might actually result in them not telling the truth if you ask them a direct question. It requires cultural training. But then Talk TV don't understand this either. This is just, inviting people on who either don't understand the data, don't understand what's happening, and don't understand the process. What is the point of that? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.